Welcome to the 6-Minute English Podcast, your quick, no fluff guide to improving your English in just minutes a day. Subscribe now and make English a part of your daily life.
Have you ever sat around a campfire, gazing at the dancing flames, and listened to someone tell a captivating story? Or maybe you've curled up with a good book, completely lost in a different world.
Yes, definitely. There's something magical about stories, isn't there? They can transport you to another time and place. You can experience different emotions, learn new things, and even see the world from a whole new perspective.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to explore today: the power of storytelling. Why do humans tell stories? What makes them so important to us?
I think stories help us understand the world around us. They can explain complex ideas in a simple way, and they can connect us to other people who share similar experiences.
Our story today begins in a small village nestled beside a vast, shimmering desert. Nestled means it's situated in a cozy and protected spot. Imagine rolling sand dunes as far as the eye can see, the air shimmering with heat.
And in this village, life revolved around the rhythms of the desert. The villagers knew the desert like the back of their hands, its hidden oases, the whispering winds that foretold sandstorms, and the creatures that roamed the dunes under the scorching sun. Scorching means extremely hot.
The villagers were resilient and resourceful. Resilient means they were able to bounce back from hardship, to recover quickly from difficulties. Resourceful means they were good at finding clever ways to use what they had.
They lived a simple life, but it wasn't easy. Water was scarce, and the desert could be a harsh and unforgiving place. But they had something that helped them through the tough times: their stories.
Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and purple, the villagers would gather around the flickering firelight.
And that's when the storytelling would begin. The elders would share tales of bravery, wisdom, and the mysteries of the desert. These stories weren't just entertainment, they were a vital part of their culture and survival.
So, imagine a group of early humans, sitting around a fire, the flames dancing in their eyes. One person starts to speak, telling a story about a dangerous hunt, a mammoth, maybe, or a saber-toothed tiger. They describe the thrill of the chase, the fear, the victory.
And the others listen intently, captivated. This isn't just entertainment, it's a lesson. They're learning how to hunt, what to watch out for, how to be brave. Captivated, by the way, means completely interested, like you can't look away.
Exactly. The storyteller might exaggerate a bit, making the animal seem even bigger, the danger even greater. This exaggeration, or making something seem larger than life, makes the story more memorable, more exciting.
This storytelling tradition continued for generations. Stories weren't just about hunting, they explained the world around them. Why the sun rose and set, why the seasons changed. These explanations often involved gods and goddesses, powerful beings that controlled nature.
Think of Greek mythology, for example. Stories of Zeus, Hera, Poseidon. They offered explanations for things like thunder, storms, and earthquakes. It helped people make sense of a world they didn't fully understand. Mythology is a collection of myths, traditional stories, especially ones concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon.
And these stories weren't static. They evolved, changed over time, as they were passed down from one generation to the next. Details were added, embellished, sometimes even completely changed. Embellished means to make something more interesting by adding details, often extra details that might not be entirely true.
Like a game of telephone, right? But with much higher stakes. These stories held the community's history, their beliefs, their values. They weren't just entertaining, they were essential for survival.
Absolutely. Sharing knowledge through stories was crucial. Imagine trying to teach someone a complex skill like building a shelter or making fire without using language to tell a story. It would be incredibly difficult.
So, stories weren't just campfire entertainment. They were powerful tools for education, for passing down knowledge, for building community. They helped humans survive and thrive in a challenging world.
And even today, even with all our technology, we still tell stories. We watch movies, read books, listen to podcasts. The medium has changed, but the fundamental human need to tell and hear stories, that remains the same.
So, let's recap the story so far. We've met a young girl named Anya who lives in a village where stories are forbidden. They're seen as distractions, frivolous, meaning not serious or important. Anya, however, is fascinated by the whispers of old tales.
Exactly. And remember that mysterious traveler, the storyteller? He arrives in the village and, despite the rules, starts sharing captivating stories. Captivating means really interesting and engaging, something that holds your attention.
He tells a story about a brave warrior fighting a fearsome beast. A beast is a large, dangerous animal, often mythical. Anya, hidden amongst the crowd, is completely mesmerized.
Mesmerized, that's a great word. It means completely captivated, like you can't look away. Anya listens intently, despite the risk of being caught.
Right, and the storyteller's tales aren't just entertaining. They teach important lessons about courage, kindness, and facing your fears. These stories are full of wisdom, meaning knowledge and good judgment.
Yes, and this is where we left off. Anya, inspired by the stories, begins to see the world differently. She starts to understand the power of stories, how they can teach and inspire. She feels a change within her, a growing courage to challenge the village's strict rules.
So, to summarize, the story explores why stories are important. They're not just entertainment, they transmit knowledge, build community, and help us understand ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. They can even give us the courage to change things, to stand up for what we believe in, just like Anya is starting to feel. It's a powerful message.
And that's what we'll explore more in the next part. We'll see how Anya uses the power of stories to change her village.
And what happens when she finally confronts the village elders about their ban on storytelling. It's going to get very interesting.
So, the old woman finally reached the center of the village, clutching her walking stick. Gather round, she called out, her voice surprisingly strong for someone so frail. That word, frail, means physically weak or delicate. She looked frail, but her voice was full of energy.
The villagers, intrigued, started to assemble. They were drawn in by her presence. Intrigued means very interested and curious. To be drawn in means to be attracted to something, almost like a moth to a flame.
She began her story. A long time ago, when the mountains were young, she started, her eyes twinkling. This is a classic opening for a traditional story. Notice how she sets the scene, a long time ago. It creates a sense of mystery and wonder.
The children, especially, were captivated. They sat at her feet, completely absorbed in her tale. Captivated means fascinated or enchanted. They were hanging on to every word.
She spoke of brave warriors, mischievous spirits, and wise old owls. Her stories weren't just for entertainment. They taught valuable lessons about courage, honesty, and respect for nature. The stories had a deeper meaning. They passed on the wisdom of their ancestors.
The phrase, pass on, means to transfer something to someone else, like passing a baton in a relay race. In this case, she was passing on the wisdom of their ancestors, the people who lived before them.
Exactly. And notice the word, ancestors. Ancestors are your family members from past generations, your grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. Their stories shaped the values of the village.
The stories explained why the villagers held certain beliefs and followed certain traditions. They explained their origins. Origins means the beginning or source of something. Like the origin of a river, or in this case, the origin of their customs.
Right, and these origins were woven into captivating narratives. This is why humans tell stories. They connect us to the past, teach us valuable lessons, and help us understand our place in the world.
And the word, narratives, simply means stories. It's a more formal way to say story, and it often implies that the story has a particular purpose, like teaching a lesson or explaining something. So these narratives, these stories, were how they explained their world.
Okay, so, let's quickly recap the story we've been unraveling, the myth of why humans tell stories. Remember, the world was silent, gray, and, well, a bit boring. Emotions were locked away, like treasures in a vault no one could open.
Exactly. And then, the Sky Weaver, feeling sorry for the humans, decided to do something about it. She wove a vibrant tapestry, a tapestry of stories filled with joy, sorrow, anger, love, all the colors of emotion.
She gifted this tapestry to the wind, who, being a bit mischievous, tore it into shreds and scattered the pieces across the world.
These pieces landed in the hearts of humans. And when a piece settled in someone's heart, they felt a sudden rush of emotion, a story bubbling up inside them, desperate to be told.
They started sharing these stories, these fragments of the Sky Weaver's tapestry, with each other. It was like, suddenly everyone had a key to unlock those emotional vaults we talked about.
Imagine that. A world where no one could express how they felt, suddenly bursting with laughter, tears, fear, excitement. It was a revolution.
And the more stories they told, the more they understood themselves and each other. The world transformed. It became rich with color, with meaning, with connection. Remember the word, empathy? We learned that earlier. Telling stories helped humans develop empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others.
Right. So now, whenever you hear a story, whether it's a grand epic or a simple anecdote, remember it's a thread from that original tapestry, a piece of the Sky Weaver's gift, connecting you to everyone else who's ever felt that same emotion.
And every time you tell a story, you're weaving a new thread into that tapestry, adding to the rich, colorful fabric of human experience. You are keeping the Sky Weaver's gift alive.
So, think about that the next time you share something, even something small. You are participating in this ancient, beautiful tradition of storytelling. You're making the world a little brighter, a little more connected, a little more human.
Thanks for listening to English Boost. Remember, practice a little every day and you'll see big results. See you in the next episode.